Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto Channel. Wishing you a happy start to this nice Wednesday morning here as we were prepared for the big day. It's the big day, baby. It's FOMC day, or fucked on by the market committee, and that's exactly what it feels like. So get ready, bend over, and it's time to prepare. Anyways, I wanted to follow up some higher term time frame ideas that we're looking at over the last 24 hours. A lot has happened, and even bring that thread that into the next 24 hours that we're going to experience, from here. So without further ado, I want to start off right over here on the Krown Chain application, of which the events tab, once again, letting us know that the FOMC event coming up later today in the US morning. Now, do you understand that the FOMC event is actually, it's actually twofold? What happens is, the FOMC comes out and sets the interest rate, but what really matters is the forward guidance conference call that happens afterwards. And that's probably where the market's going to start to actually really move. So expect a big volatile spike around the actual FOMC event. And then after that, trend to likely begin around the conference time. Anyways, now that we've gotten through that, let's actually get into the price action charts. I should probably also let you know that we still got the Jewel promotion going on with the link in the description below. Where you can actually get it for free for the first 30 days. But let's get into the more important stuff as of right now. So first things first. Well, the 5-day closed last night, and the 5-day did close above the top side of the 5-day Gaussian channel, this red area right here. Why is that important? Because anytime that we have seen that happen in the past, after the Gaussian channel turned red and Bitcoin closed above on a 5-day time frame, the Gaussian channel, it's gone on for some pretty impressive runs for the prior 4 times in Bitcoin's history that this has actually happened. Now, you're probably saying, Krown, 4 times? That's not very many. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the best that we got. It's like you can't really do anything better than with that. But even with the results and looking at the statistics for these, they actually do have a lot of crossover between each other, as we'll see in a second. But first things first, let me explain how I harvested the data. So basically what I was looking at is on the actual breakout or the closure above the top side of the Gaussian channel is where I started the measurement towards the next high. And then I measured both the day and the price, obviously. And then I even did a measurement for when the inevitable retest of the top side of the channel happened. So yeah, it's happened 4 times in Bitcoin's history, and they are documented right on over here. You can see that on average, there's been about a 40% gainer, or a little bit more than a 40% gainer. You can even see that 2 of these were pretty much right close to each other, at 45.5 to almost 48% right there. The first one on the list, the one that we just looked at, actually was about 26, about 32%, and the first one, like in Bitcoin's history, was a pretty massive rally. But you could also argue that Bitcoin was very young at that time, so those sort of returns unlikely to be seen again. We expect those sort of returns to go down over time. They should be diminishing, or at least theoretically so. Anyways, what is most interesting right here is the times on average that it took until the next high. Again, we see 20, 20, 10, and 35, giving us an average of about 20 right on the dot. Standard deviation of 10 or 12.5, but I really wouldn't trust that. And again, the average return over here was about 47% to the next high within an average about 20 days. Big standard deviation right there at about 17.25%, giving us a major range between about 30% all the way up to 64% on the upper end. So looking at it from the current lens, we can see, on the lower end, if Bitcoin were to go for about 30% move, that would put Bitcoin about $34,000. Keep that number in the back of your mind's eye. Keep that number in the back of your mind's eye, or just keep it in the back of your mind. Whatever works for you, man or woman. Because the channel demographics are very diverse. In fact, there are 3% females on this channel. That is amazing. That includes not even Elsa. Anyways, she doesn't even fucking count. So looking at this right here, again, putting this into context, next 20 days is about 3 weeks. Right, so starting from I guess last night or / today, for the next 3 weeks, we would expect this rally to emerge. If that is going to come to fruition. Now, again, we're just looking at statistics. These ain't certainties. So what would be an invalidation of this? Well, the obvious invalidation is Bitcoin coming back down and crashing below the top side of the Gaussian channel. Now, in the short term, with FOMC coming up later tonight, it should be known that, hey, Bitcoin can very easily have, a major spike to the downside first, somewhere into like the mid 26s or upper 26s, and then maybe pick itself back up. Seeing $1,000, multi-$1,000 swings on FOMC day is certainly not anything unknown, or unheard of, I should say. So keep that in mind, because that is certainly possible. But at the end of the day, it's where things end up after the conference call, and that's where the trend is likely to emerge as the FOMC members will give their forwards guidance, basically talking about what they expect to happen in the future as far as their doings. Anyways, so I said on the lower end, 30% at about $34,000. Keep that number in the back of your mind, because when we go over here to the 5-day time frame for CME, this is where things could be a little bit more immediately interesting. So first things first, 5-day for CME is closing tonight. It also, similar to spot price action, is going to have a chance to close above the top side channel here, which is, or sorry, not the top side, but the mean band. The mean band at it once again, 28,615 for CME. If it closes above that today, then at that point, I'd be looking for a move, to emerge in the following weeks somewhere around the top side band. Guess where that's at? Oh, is that $34,000? That's fucking weird. Hey, these numbers keep on popping up somewhere. But, again, if it closes above that, probably in the more, I wouldn't say like super immediate, but, in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, there'd just be another thing saying that Bitcoin probably gets a try somewhere up there. We don't really have as much history on CME here, obviously. I mean, the one time that we actually do have certainly played on through. But basically the idea is that, hey, once you close above the mean band, typically get a free ride to the top side of the band. We saw it very, very recently on spot price action over here. We've seen it several other times throughout Bitcoin's history. You get the idea. Anyways, that would kind of be the area of interest. But again, doesn't mean that Bitcoin can have a major spike down somewhere around FOMC time. Making no comment on that. But, if it came down to like 26.5 or 26.8, that would that would be, it's like, oh yeah, it's FOMC day, I guess. Anyways, yeah, so let's move on now, because the 5-day time frame wasn't just relevant for the Gaussian channel, it's also relevant for the volatility setup over here, of which we have several things of significant interest. So here's the thing: 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum setup here. 5-day volatility getting down below 15 percentile and then expanding from these extreme lows has led to an average move of about 40% over the full history of Bitcoin when this setup was observed. And the direction of the stochastic oscillator on the 5-day time frame upon the volatility expansion has had a high probabilistic correlation to the direction of, Bitcoin's price for that volatility expansion phase. In this case, what is interesting to hear is again twofold, or actually threefold. One, 5-day volatility did close above the critical zone right here, above 15 percentile. It's now actually close to 40 percentile, and also above the moving average, similar to what we saw back on over in January before that explosive rally from it was like 18,000 or so to 25,000 bucks. We've seen this again several times in Bitcoin's history. I'm not just going to highlight this one over here. There's been some that are pretty very impressive, some that are less impressive, obviously. But in this case, this one does look like it's potential for liftoff. I mean, you have your higher low right here, you got your higher high, beautiful. But as far as a 5-day stochastic oscillator right now, it did close above yesterday's pivot, so it will remain with upside caution as long as Bitcoin's above 26,750 or 800 on the next closing period, which happens in about 4 days from now. So again, probabilities will favor the upside here. What sort of probabilities would you be looking at? Well, with this particular setup, when the stochastic oscillator was pointed to the upside over the full history of Bitcoin, there's been 11 prior times, and 11 out of 11 when the stochastic was pointed to the upside alongside volatility expansion did result in a major upside move. Doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. Obviously, we expect this not to be a 100% relationship over, a long enough period of time, but so far so good. And the average return has been about 43% with a standard deviation of 10%, which is, again, giving us a bottom side of the first standard deviation at 33%. Where would 33% put it? We already looked at that. On the upper end, 53%, which puts it a little bit deeper into the $30,000 territory. Obviously, this one given a time frame on average for these returns of about 33 days, with a standard deviation of 10 days. Hey, wait, does that mean on the bottom side of the first standard deviation that would be about 3 weeks? Holy shit! Math. Of course, could things fail? So, sure, yeah, of course, that's always a possibility. So what would be indicative of failure? I think we kind of already went over it with the Gaussian channel condition over here. Below like 26.5 on like a 5-day closure, yeah, that's going to be pretty concerning. Certainly below 25, even like 25.5 or 26,000 bucks on the daily closure, that would also be a good invalidation. And at that point, you can probably expect that return to the downside, maybe back down. Let's actually see. What would 30%? Yeah. Probably back down below 20,000 bucks, somewhere around 18 maybe, if that were to happen. But for right now, again, probability still continue to favor the upside, similar to before. But fair enough. You've kind of seen us, read off the probabilities all the way down and now all the way up, and it's very funny because I get shit both ways. Krown, you're too bearish over here. Krown, you're too bullish over here. All right, fair enough, man. Fair fucking enough. You can never make everyone happy, but that's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is to provide statistics in just the most basic, or maybe not basic, but in the most neutral way possible, and then maybe give my opinion every once in a while. Anyways, moving on to the last thing of the day, I did want to come at the HPGR indicator, the herpaderp indicator, as some people have named it, which is pretty funny. Hey, stop it. Stop laughing. Oh my fucking God. So disrespectful. Jesus Christ, yeah, disrespectful. Oh yeah, that's right. You can't say Jesus Christ. People get very mad about that. Look, it's just an expression, You know what? God, in His ever-knowing wisdom, in His infinite wisdom, He understands when you don't actually mean it. It's amazing, because He's God. Anyways, all right. So moving on now. Daily herpaderp range still showing the old ranges between. Actually, we're still above the 50% of historical returns range highs, but the top side here is just below 30,000 bucks. So that would say, today, or maybe not necessarily today, but still overall on this current move, we could still very easily see a move somewhere around this region right here. And then a bit of a pullback on the daily. By the same token, below 26,600 on a daily closure, I suppose that would be perhaps a good trap indication area, or at least for a move back down to the low 25s, contrary to what I was gathering over the Gaussian channel over here. But I would trust this indicator more. Not that you should trust any indicator, but I just put more faith in this one, if you will. Should also be known as well that the 12-hour time frame did present a bit of a downside probability here. It's actually trading between the 80% and 90% of historical returns range highs, or just range. And we started to see volatility contract as of here. So invalidation on this would be a closure above the topside wick, which would actually be a validation of significant upside to come, probably somewhere around 5 to 6%. I actually don't have the spreadsheet up on my computer right now, and we're in a bit of a rush this morning, so I won't do it. But if you see that, then yeah, you're probably looking somewhere around 30,000 bucks. So yeah, I think we will leave things right there. Once again, I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and again, FOMC day. I turn all my systems off. You might want to consider doing the same thing as well. Maybe, I'm not your dad, but hopefully that could in some way help. Anyways, yeah, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.